up, everyone? Welcome to Political Insider. I'm Brett Smith, your humble host. And look who's back, filmmaker and Superman. Probably the coolest description that anyone ever had. Our good friend, Dean Cain. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you, Brett. I'll tell you what, if you call me one name for the rest of my life, Superman will do.
I mean, that's a very elite club. Extremely. Yeah. All right. So last time you were here, you just started production on Little Angels. And for those who don't know, give us a quick synopsis on what that movie's about, and then give us an update on it.
So Little Angels is basically like the Mighty Ducks or Bad News Bears. It's a college football coach, like a Nick Saban type, who is full of himself and cocksure and a total sexist, played by me, who while winning the second national championship in 5 years, has a girl come in to do a girl soccer player from the school come in to kick the extra point to make history, and she misses it. She shanks it off the upright. So he says it was a publicity stunt. It was stupid. She's a girl. We're in America. Soccer's for girls. Gets in trouble. Ends up having to do community service and take a sensitivity seminar. The community service is coaching under 13-year-old girls soccer, and he can't stand kids and he can't stand soccer. But through working with the girls, he realizes they're pretty awesome kids and wonderful people. And through some circumstances there, he decides, I want to turn these girls into winners. And let's go. And there's a romance that goes on with one of the moms, but it's a really fun family movie. It's funny. It's got a lot of heart, and the girls were just fantastic and real good athletes. As an athlete myself, I made sure that the soccer is legit, and it is, and it makes a difference, and you can tell the difference.
Yeah, I'll bet. Just from the standpoint of probably setting up shots and filming and all that stuff. If you got people who can actually do it, you can probably move faster, and then everything looks really authentic too.
It looks better too when you see someone kick the ball. They don't kick it, then you cut to the ball going in the goal.
Right.
You can see that thing carry and see the velocity on it and see the passes and the things. I love to let that stuff go on. So it plays very well in the film.
So like with Disney going full woke, at least in the US, not in other places. Other places where they outlaw homosexuality, they're still, broadcasting. They have no problem doing that. But would Little Angels be a movie you could take your kids to and not be force-fed social justice warrior woke nonsense?
100%.
Cool. And where can people see this? Is it theaters?
So we just finished it. We've just finished it completely. We're out to distributors right now. In fact, awesome. Disney took a look at it. But I don't think that's going to happen. Something's going on with their stock right now. I don't know.
You know what? Honestly, it'd be perfect for them 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the Mighty Ducks. I mean, that was such a huge success, and it's really sort of the same thing.
Well, aren't they reviving the Mighty Ducks?
It's a series right now with Emilio, but he got booted because he didn't want to get vaccinated.
Really?
So partway through the series, he said, I'm not getting vaccinated. And they said, then you're out.
So they just write him off?
I don't know how they took care of it or what they did, but that's my understanding that he's gone. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know where that went or how it turned out, but
I mean, what is the Mighty Ducks without Emilio, man? I mean, he's like the hub.
He is the hub.
That's crazy.
He is the hub. So it doesn't make sense to me. I don't, and with the way things have gone out now, people who didn't want to get vaccinated, losing their jobs, police officers, city workers, actors, you hear all this, my body, my choice, screaming, but not when it comes to the vaccine. So that was an interesting shift.
It's the COVID Hollywood literally just shut themselves down.
Yeah. We shot my movie during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So Little Angels was shot during COVID. It took a big portion of our budget, about 5 to 10% of our budget, just to do COVID compliance. And we got very lucky because nobody tested positive while we were shooting. We had tons of young kids running around playing soccer. Right. We were outside most of the shoot, but still, we got very lucky. It takes one COVID case and you're shut down. So we were terrified of that happening.
I mean, you basically got to quarantine for 2 weeks or the 14 days or whatever, and
everybody who was around that person. So you're basically shut down.
Yeah, which is a death knell on a movie set because time is money, and you get this much time to shoot everything. So
we shot in 18 days. You shut us down for 14, we're dead.
18 days.
They were tough days, but we were making this thing for a price, and it turned out. I'm super proud of the movie. I don't know who's going to distribute it. I don't know. There's tons of people looking at it right now. I am really excited because I know this one, whatever some distributors might say, this or that, or it's this, or he's sexist at first, and that's not cool, or whatever it is. When people get in front of it and when watch this, and eyeballs get on this, I think kids are going to go nuts. There's no girl soccer movies out there. There's Ladybugs, you know, from Rodney Dangerfield 40 years ago, but that's about it. I have my goddaughter and my niece both play soccer, and they're both in the film because they're both under 13-year-old girl soccer players.
Yeah.
So they're in the film and they have nothing that they can watch when they get together, but they would be able to watch Little Angels, and they hopefully they will over and over and over again. It's a World Cup year. You go to these soccer tournaments that I see my goddaughter and my niece play. There are thousands of little girls running around there on dozens of fields, and all the parents. And I'm like, they have to want to watch something that sort of celebrates what they're doing out here and celebrates those values of teamwork and honor and sticking up for your fellow teammate and all those sort of things that, you know, we take, I took for granted in the movies that I watched growing up, but I don't see those values pushed so much today. And they are in this.
You know, you think about like Hoosiers or Rudy, you know, those movies had all those, but so did the Bad News Bears, even the original one, 76, which is, you know, very politically incorrect. Walter Matthau's drinking throughout the whole thing and smoking. It's really funny, but at the same time, those kids, you know, kind of capture his heart, and, you know, vice versa. And they really come together as a team, and you get all that good stuff. So it's like, I just think that this is going to do well, wherever you guys land. So, and
I sure hope so. I just want to
land. Also sounds like a franchise. Sounds like Bad News Bears and others. You could do a sequel to this, maybe
easily.
Yeah,
sequel. We can go to a series. It's all about the girls, and there's so many of them. You know, on a team, you got 9 to 11 kids running around. They've all got their stuff going on, and you know, it just gets. They're just. You could just go on for a long time.
Well, and that's also so many parents and so many families. You know, the soccer mom. You know, who the Democrats. That was their number one. Like, you know, Bill Clinton. That was his number one demo, was the soccer moms back in the day.
They're still out there.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. So you got another movie out with Sean Young, and it's called No Vacancy. It's based on a true story, which I find fascinating. It's also a period piece. I love period pieces. It's set in the 80s, which I was watching the preview, and I was looking at the suit you were wearing, and I was like, that suit looks very 80s. It's kind of which has a little 70s going on too, because there was sort of an overlap. You know, the lapels. I was just like, wow, you know, but then I was like, this is a period piece. Anyway, it's called No Vacancy. Looks like you got a lot of talent. And it looks like it's like I was telling you earlier, beautifully shot. Tell us about it.
So the Kingstone Pictures out of South Florida or Central Florida there. In fact, Leesburg is where we shot this movie. That's where First Baptist of Leesburg is, where this whole story took place. And it's the story of hope. I mean, it's a story of hope and redemption. Back in the day, there's a pastor. There's 3 stories that kind of all commingle here. And one of them is my character, is Pastor Cliff Lee, who's a real guy. I got to meet him. Great guy. And then there's the story of a newspaper reporter, jaded newspaper reporter played by Sean Young. Mm-hmm. She's fantastic. And then T.C. Stallings plays Cecil Johnson, who is the sort of the example for what can happen in this place. And it's a place where, you know, people always talk about feeding the hungry and housing the homeless, but they don't want to do it in their own backyard. They don't really want to help out that badly when it comes to, like, it's going to be on our main street. That's what it is. But Pastor Lee was like, look, this is what we wanted. We should be doing. There's a motel that is going up for sale. We'd like to buy it and house the homeless, because Leesburg in the 80s was the epicenter of the homeless crisis in America. Now it's California, but then it was Leesburg and Central Florida. So there were just so many people, and you see all these different groups of people who were homeless. You see drug addicts, you see young families who just can't make it. And you see what they did there, though, was they offered a hand up, not just a straight hand out, a hand up. There was a ministry. There's things they did there with the drug and alcohol rehab and other sort of groups together to try to get people to better their lives and better their situation. Mm-hmm. Well, Cecil Johnson at the beginning of the movie, and T.C. Stallings is brilliant in this movie. He's so good. He's a drug addict, can't even kill himself correctly. And so he by happenstance or by a turn of divine intervention, he ends up at this ministry, and it turns his whole life around. It's a process, and we watch the process take place. Mm-hmm. But by the end, Cecil Johnson becomes this incredible guy doing such incredible things for other people. And it's a great story of hope and redemption. and Sean Young's character writes a piece about it. At first, she's very jaded, but when she sees what they're really doing and meets with Cecil and Pastor Lee, she writes this story, and then the whole community comes together to support them. Excuse me.
You guys, the stories, you guys rent out a hotel for the homeless, or do they purchase it and then?
They purchase it, but it costs $1 million. It'll cost $1 million to purchase it and then restore it. And they don't even have their regular operating budget, but it's a thing that Pastor Lee felt like, look, this is what we need to do. How? I don't know, but God's telling him this is what he's got to do. So very Noah-like, he's like, I'm going to keep trudging along until I can't. And then it turns out when this story goes out, which features Cecil and others,
right?
The community comes together like in It's a Wonderful Life,
right? And
they all just start showing up, and it's just like this parade of giving, and it's just overwhelming. And they're able to purchase that motel. And I was there. I mean, that place is filled every night of the year.
Still there.
Still there. We shot there. and it's filled with young families, kids, people, trying to survive addiction. But they again, it's a hand up. It's not just a hand out. Yeah. It's not like we're going to give this to you, you just stay here and nothing happens. They really actively work with these men and women and kids and everybody. And it's lovely. It's wonderful and it's uplifting. And that's essentially the film.
Yeah, I don't find it compassionate to allow them to be on the streets or to beg on street corners. I don't understand that, especially here in Arizona when it's triple-digit heat, allowing people to stand out on street corners or out in the middle of the median with dogs sometimes. I mean, the whole scenario is just bad, but so often, the response is, oh, well, there's a homeless person and they need their own shopping cart, or they need their own box to live in. It's not, it's like we're enabling bad behavior. We're not getting them off the street. We're not dealing with maybe their mental problems or the drug addictions or both. It's just Band-Aid after Band-Aid, treat the symptoms, but not the root cause, which is these people need, help not only getting off the streets, but also building a life.
That's
having a foundation to, to kind of, go from there on their own. And isn't that what we want?
100%. It is exactly.
Yeah.
But that is that hand up as opposed to that hand out. But as opposed to here's your box to live in.
Right.
Here's your shopping cart.
Rush used to joke about that was the homeless. The Democrats want to give homeless shopping carts. That's what they, when they look at homeless people who don't have shopping carts, they're like, they need a shopping cart. But
no, they need a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's true, man. But yeah, that's amazing story. And I just think about up in Tucson and Phoenix, we have DHS that are taking old hotels, motels, which the city own, and they're allowing illegal immigrants to live in them. And meanwhile, our parks are overrun with homeless. It's sad, man.
A period of time where it's been encouraged.
Yeah.
It's been encouraged by government as opposed to the hand up. Give them a hand up. It's encouraged. You're comfortable. Stay there. Here's some syringes and needles you can use, and drugs if you need them, and this and that, and you can take over the park and forget the other tax-paying citizens that want to go walk their dog there, or walk to school or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's the wrong way to deal with it. I want to have compassion. In fact, part of what happened in No Vacancy is they were trying to get this motel, but the city planners and the city zoning people were like, no, listen, this is like if you feed a stray cat today, you're going to have 50 there tomorrow.
But isn't that what you want in that scenario?
In that scenario, it is 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're turning people out that aren't going back out on the street, then obviously that's a good ROI.
Yes, it is.
It's a great return on investment.
100%.
With Little Angels and No Vacancy, I got to ask you, are you going to do hard copy Blu-ray releases on this stuff? Or are you going to do digital rental, or what's
good question?
Yeah,
it's a great question. I don't know the answer to either one of those. I would love to do Blu-ray and put something out there, especially for Little Angels because of all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yes,
but they did a great bunch of behind the scenes stuff for No Vacancy. So I'd love for both of them to get out there. I mean, that's your real film auteur. Like,
yes,
you're watching that stuff and you go through and you want to see that stuff. I mean, of course, you could stream the extras as well. But I love that when I see the making of certain films and look at what was going on behind the scenes and what things made this happen. I find it fascinating. In fact, there's something I was going to watch. It's on my little notes to watch. I think it's called Films That Made Us.
Yeah.
And I've heard it's great. And I can't wait to go watch it.
Yeah. It's a Netflix series, The Movies That Made Us. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. The RoboCop episode is outrageously funny. Yeah, it's really good. I won't spoil it for you. They're all really done. There's also The Toys That Made Us. And that's another one. And all of this is basically centered around Gen Xers. Everything is basically 80s, 90s type stuff. Which
that's me.
That's us. Yeah.
Yes.
The target demo.
Yes.
It's unreal. It's so funny just watching all this stuff. It's weird being the attention of everybody, but it's kind of come to pass at this point. And then you look at like Elon Musk, Gen Xer, and you look at Ron DeSantis, Gen Xer, and it's just sort of like people always forget us. They're always talking about the boomers, the millennials, because they're like 80 or 90 million a piece. We're only like 70 million. Carol Roth and I were talking about this online the other day. There's a very little Gen Xers. There's not that many, and they always overlook us and they always ignore us, but they're not ignoring us now. So
darn right.
We're in charge. Basically, it's like that scene in Batman, with Bane, where he's like, "Do you feel in charge?" That's like us talking to millennials at this point. You might not acknowledge us, but we're in charge.
We're in charge.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, let's. I wanted to ask you. Between like you and Sorbo and Davi's got this Hunter Biden movie coming out, and then it's like you look at even guys like M. Night Shyamalan. S. Craig Zoller, all these guys are making small movies, it's somewhere between, 20 and maybe 50 million. We were talking about The Northman earlier, and 90 million is a lot of money. But it's amazing what you can do these days with digital and a good cinematographer. You can make these movies look really great. And then if you got a killer story and talent, you've got all the makings of a great independent film. And I see kind of a film renaissance going on within conservative circles. Daily Wire, what they're doing, and I don't think they're spending a whole lot of money. I mean, everybody's conscious of getting more with less, and I think just from the standpoint of being a creator myself, I think you actually get more out of people when you're working under those kind of circumstances because it forces people to be more creative.
I'll buy that.
But are you seeing more enthusiasm? Investors, audience, people who are hungry for this type of stuff. Because you've been at this for a while. So
just call me old.
But you've been doing your own thing for a while. You know what I mean? And now more people are doing it, and that's a good thing.
The studio system is such a closed system. And there's 5 or 6 people who make the decisions on what's going on here or there, or and that's it. Yeah. So, and they're making those big giant tentpole movies. There's so much space to make good independent movies.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be these crazy budgets because, even the movie that I made, even Little Angels, if that was made on a studio budget, it's $30 million. Mm-hmm. It's the same film.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the overhead, all the different fees, all the things you have to pay.
Unions, I would imagine. And
unions, of course. Yeah. But that's just it. It makes a huge difference. You can't make that movie for a studio for the price we made it for. And so it makes it wonderful for us independent people. And there are people who, and because of the quality that we can get now with a smaller budget, still you can compete with the big time movies and you have a fraction of their budget. Yeah. So I think there's more people swimming in the pool, and I like it. I like it that way. And I want to swim in that pool for a long time.
Well, and visually, I can't tell the difference now between the independent stuff and the studio stuff. And we were talking about, cinematography and colorists and post, and that stuff has come it's advanced so forward, so far forward that now you can be an independent filmmaker and make stuff that looks authentically studio.
100%.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you want that authenticity because it's a visual medium first. That's always going to hook people in previews and whatnot. And if it looks cheap, it doesn't matter if it's got all the stars, right?
You're out.
So
it's got to look great. It's got to look slick.
Yeah.
And Little Angels does, which makes me very happy. Really good job with our post house. Yeah. And our DP, my DP is fantastic. I'm really happy with the whole film. The music's a big deal. I mean, I just can't wait for people to get eyeballs on it. It's frustrating me that the speed at which things take place because I want it to happen now. I'm ready for it to be out there now. Let's go. But there's a whole lot of other hoops you have to jump through and people to talk to. And
so no vacancy is out, and then Little Angels is you're basically shopping it right now for distributor, and that'll more than likely probably within a couple of weeks you'll know what's going on.
Yeah, I would certainly hope so. And it's like I said, it's a World Cup year this year.
Right.
There's a brand new in Los Angeles. There's a brand new women's professional soccer club, Angel City Football Club. A friend of mine got traded and plays on that team. It's a brand new expansion team.
Sounds like a marketing opportunity, Dean.
It's everywhere. It's right here. So we'll get it done. We'll get it done.
That's awesome. All right, look, I want to get your. I want to do kind of a hot takes on some issues, because we just got some crazy stuff blowing up today. I mean, it's been kind of boring the last couple of days, I mean, relatively speaking. But today, I'm just kind of like, is today the day that like Joe Biden's presidency died, like completely imploded? Because we're in the middle of a nationwide baby formula shortage. And according to videos posted by a Florida lawmaker, and these videos were forwarded her by Border Patrol, so they're completely legit. The Biden administration is shipping pallets of baby formula to migrant facilities on the southern border. So basically, American babies are starving, but illegal migrant babies get priority. I
can't even start to put my finger on that. I don't get it at all. I don't understand what this administration has been doing with the border the entire time. I remember the border being this crazy thing under Obama. I remember always hearing about the border, this and people coming across and all these illegals coming across and all this sort of stuff happening. Meanwhile, the United States takes over 1 million people legally every year, more than any other country in the world. So there's a process for it. Let's follow the process. Let's know who we're bringing in. Let's screen. Let's do that stuff. But nope, under President Trump, it was taken care of. That border situation, you never heard about it again. It just went, it was gone. And then all of a sudden, under Biden, bam, it's back and crazier than ever. When you hear about the sheer numbers of people who've come in illegally, the size of Dallas, Texas, like the entire city. That's crazy. It's crazy, the numbers that are, and if the Biden administration is doing that with the formula, you're not making friends with your constituents. And then a lot of people argue that's the reason they're having so many people come in. They think they'll be future voters, but you're losing a lot of folks. I mean, his popularity is dropping like a sinker. And it should be good. Garland, boy, he has turned out to be a real stinker.
This guy was almost a Supreme Court justice.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you want to talk about dodging
partisan? It's unbelievable. And the DOJ, say what you want to about Bill Barr. I love the guy. I love Bill Barr. So, and a buddy of mine was like the number 3 person there. And they might have fought with Trump some, and that's fine. And that's okay. Yeah. But they were doing it from a place of respect and of honor. I don't think Bill Barr would bend the knee to anybody. He believes what he believes, and he believes in truth and justice. Dare I say truth, justice, and the American way.
It's just so different coming from you, when you say those words. We're speaking of Garland, I guess despite what he testified to in front of Congress, that the FBI wasn't targeting American parents concerned over school curriculum, it turns out, according to whistleblowers, that's exactly what they've been doing at the FBI. This is a quote. It says, as a direct result of your directive, meaning AG Garland, federal law enforcement is using counterterrorism resources to investigate protected First Amendment activity, unquote. This is like KGB type stuff.
Man. It's 100%. It's the same thing as the Ministry of Truth.
Yeah.
That disinformation thing, the government disinformation board. Are you kidding me? Like it's right out of 1984. It's insane to me. And again, that happened in Virginia. That was really happening in Virginia right there before Governor Youngkin came in. And that's McAuliffe and that's Northam and these guys. That's just they were setting this up earlier, talking about, our biggest domestic terrorism is our biggest threat. No, it isn't.
White supremacy, Dean. White supremacy.
You know how often I get called a white supremacist? And my given name is Tanaka.
It's a joke. I'm 45 years old. I don't think I've ever met a white supremacist. I mean, like a real one or like a group of them necessarily. I've met some racist people in my life, but like people that are like, like romper stomper, kind of right. Like Honestly, until I saw that movie, I was just like, wow, do they really have those down in Australia? Because I've never met them here in America.
I haven't either. Haven't seen him, haven't met him, don't want to, not looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just bizarre. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to get your take on, since you're a sports guy, and you're also, ex-athlete and a successful one. What do you make of the NBA? And I used to be such an NBA fan, man, and then it just kind of lost me. The NBA announcing they're going to play preseason games in the United Arab Emirates. It wasn't too long ago that they canceled the All-Star game in Charlotte over the transgender bathroom bill, but now the NBA, who is so concerned about the LGBTQ community and pledging their support to them in America, they're perfectly willing to go overseas and play games in a place where homosexuality is punishable by death. And at this point, I just look at this league and I just say to myself, it's all about money. There's no American sovereignty. There's no sovereignty towards American culture. It's just about meat in the seats. They'll go anywhere. It's basically from one John's bed to the next with the NBA.
I'll buy that in a heartbeat. I mean, it started way back when they were in China and playing, and one of those assistant GMs said something about supporting Hong Kong. And and everybody flipped out. And LeBron and those guys, nobody would say anything about the Uyghurs in China and none of that stuff. They just kept bashing America, hitting on us, and then turning around and playing those games in China.
Yeah,
I've been to the UAE. It was actually lovely. It was a wonderful trip there. I'm not a homosexual, so I didn't fear that. But I was well aware that I was in another country.
Sure.
And to be on my good behavior. And I did my best. But I don't, there's 7 different Emirates, I believe, and the laws are different in each one. You have what's the big one? Dubai. Looks like Vegas.
Which sprung up out of nowhere.
I mean, out of nowhere. It's incredible. Yeah. But I do believe with you, the NBA is all about that almighty dollar, and they're not. Yeah. Their social justice causes are just to appease the people here at home, and then that they don't really believe it. It's the best way to make a dollar, or else they'd take better care of their former athletes.
Yeah, no, very true, very true. And I think it's the same with Nike and and a lot of the sponsors and whatnot. I think they look overseas and they look at China and they see 1 billion potential customers, whereas the NBA is looking at 1 billion potential viewers. And even if they get, 5 or 10% of that, I mean, that's some record windfall profits. And that kind of also makes up for the audience that they've largely lost here in the States, like me.
It's hard for me though, because I'm a fan. So I love the athletes. I love watching the games. I just hard
here. Hey, last question, Dean. Are you ultra MAGA? And do you follow the ultra MAGA king?
I'm just a little ticked off. He didn't say super MAGA.
Yeah.
If he'd have said that, but ultra MAGA and the ultra MAGA king. Boy, I thought this was supposed to be a unifier. I thought Joe Biden was coming in saying he's going to be a unifier. I'm everybody's president. It's the most divisive language. And to try to make that, and then of course, all that does to President Trump is he turns that into a big hug. Yeah, he is the ultra MAGA man. I've seen like ultra MAGA man and all kinds of cartoons and stuff like that. You're feeding right into his game by trying to insult him like that, and it's crazy. And you're also you're denigrating 71 million Americans who voted for him. And it's just, that is not unifying in any way, shape, or form. He's not been a unifying president. He's not been a good president. The only thing I can say about Joe Biden's presidency is it's the only good thing I can say is it makes you re-examine how bad the Carter administration might have been.
Yeah. And
maybe they're not so bad.
I'm too young. I was born in 76. You're an older Gen Xer, so you remember. You might remember some of that
real well.
Really,
I do. I remember the gas lines. I remember all that. I remember all that stuff. Wow. And then when Reagan came in, I remember going like, "Yeah." There's a picture right here of me and President Reagan, which is awesome.
Amazing.
It's awesome. I would love that, man.
Well, we had double-digit inflation, which I guess we have now in Carter. We had double-digit interest rates, which we 21% prime under Carter, which we could possibly have again. That's Volcker. He was the guy that worked with Reagan to combat all that crazy inflation and tame it. Laffer and I think even Larry Kudlow they brought in as well, who was just a badass back then. Still is. But those guys were able to get it under control. I think the next administration can get it under control. It's just, can we survive the next 3 years with this going on? We're obviously going to have, I think we're going to take back Congress. We'll have a lame duck president, but can the middle class,
survive it all? Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Hopefully the middle class will see what's going on and make the right decision come 2024. And so we can get a nice period of prosperity.
Exactly.
I would like that moving into my 60s.
Yeah, that would be, be good timing for us for sure. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I like
yes.
that.
Yes.
You got a long term. You got to think long term, when you're middle age. And these are the types of things you think about. So, but yeah, I was thinking just from the standpoint, also double-digit unemployment. We don't have that necessarily, but the inflation and the gas and everything is just crushing. And at some point in time, it's probably going to get worse than Carter. So you're right.
I think
from the standpoint of reflecting,
because I don't see anything. They keep talking. I'm doing everything I can to help bring gas prices down. No, you're not even close to doing everything.
They just canceled a bunch of leases today.
Of course. That's doing everything you can to make them rise. Yeah. They really want to push this Green New Deal, and I really think that's a big part of it. But they're, no taxes on anybody making under $400,000. That gas price is a tax on everybody. Inflation is a tax on everybody, especially those who can't afford it. Yeah. It's horrible, and I don't think it should continue this way. I hope it doesn't for the people who are so hard, so horribly affected by it.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of America. I want to see us come right back.
Absolutely. This is like, I was thinking to myself, this isn't even America last, like this baby formula shortage and the inflation. I'm like, this is like hate America. That's what this is.
It is. But I wonder who's pulling the strings back there.
Yeah. I think we know. I think we all know. I think he said it, if he could come back and just whisper into somebody's ear, that would be the only way that he would even think about maybe coming back. So yeah, I know, dude. I know, it's nuts. So yeah, this gas thing, I read yesterday, we are 10 to 15% under pre-pandemic levels from the standpoint of output. So we have this much demand and this much supply. If we would bring it back up 10, 15%, we would meet demand and we wouldn't have this problem. So it's not complex.
Not complex at all.
And what was really the first thing that Trump did? He pumped a lot of oil. He got domestic drilling going. He knew that if he could bring the price of oil down to somewhere between 40 and 60 bucks a barrel, that would be a huge tax cut on everybody, and it would just unleash the American economic engine. So,
and it did. And it absolutely did.
It's literally the fuel of of America, and we just need to tap into it. So,
because we have plenty.
Well, and I believe this stuff can get turned around quickly. I really do.
I do too.
As crappy as it descended into madness,
very
and like
very
and quickly. The malaise, people are talking about the malaise, they're talking about stagflation. These are all Carter era, talking points and nomenclature. And what's crazy, dude, is that the mainstream media are starting to talk about this now. They're starting to talk about how crushing inflation is, and that's something else Rush talked about before he passed. He said there might be a point where the soft news, the fake news, the mainstream media, the alphabet networks go hard news. There might be a point where Hunter Biden becomes a liability or Joe becomes too much of a liability where they've got to throw him under the bus for the future in 2024 to kind of quote unquote reboot.
Oh, that'll be 2024 for sure.
Yeah. And I think we're starting to see that. I think they're finally just starting to kind of turn on Biden, and they're going to say, you know what? Let him take the blame, and we'll just be like, this guy's
bait and run.
Yeah, that's kind of that's sort of what I'm seeing. So we'll, and Rush was always right, so it's probably going to come true more than likely.
I don't doubt it.
99.9%. Hey, sadly we're out of time. Dean, give everyone your social media coordinates so they know where to find you.
On Twitter, I'm at Real Dean Cain, and Instagram at Deuces1966. Deuces 1966.
Hey, everyone, make sure to check out thepoliticalinsider.com and subscribe to our newsletter. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please like and share this video far and wide. Subscribe to the Political Insider on Rumble so you never miss any of our new videos. Until next time, keep the faith, and stay frosty. Thanks, Dean. Really appreciate it.
Brett, cheers, brother. Be
well.
All right.
Take it easy.